And we're live. Okay, so my name is Evelyn Santiago. I am originally from Los Angeles, California. I'm an associate with the Alliance Engagement Team at America's Promise Alliance, and a caring adult in my life would have to be my mom because she has always been there for me, even when I've made decisions that she hasn't, fully felt supportive of. She makes sure that she lets me do what I need to do in order for me to make my own mistakes and get back up.
Okay, I am Madeline Bean. I'm an associate with the Alliance Engagement Team at America's Promise as well. I'm from Indiana originally, and I went to school in Wisconsin. And a caring adult in my life would be a family friend named Tracy. She's about my parents' age, but became kind of like a big sister to me. Since I'm the oldest, I didn't, have that kind of older female role model besides my mom. So she was always somebody I could go to growing up. So now you guys can all kind of just jump in. And Evelyn, did you say to put yourself on mute if you're not talking?
No, I did not, but that is a good thing to remember. If we are not speaking, please let's mute ourselves just so that we don't have too much of an echo.
Okay, is it okay if I go ahead and go first?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. My name is Natasha Javinak from Arkansas, so I'm from the South. I was born in New York, but I moved here when I was really young. A caring adult in my life is, of course, my mother. And the reason why is because she's an inspiration for me to work hard for my dreams and goals and what I want to accomplish in life. And she sets the best example, and it's nice to be here with all of you here today.
Really quickly, I want to remind everyone to talk a little slowly because we do get a lag when you start talking quickly, so I don't want you to break up.
I will go next if nobody minds. My name is Emily Crawford. I am from Reno, Nevada, but I actually just graduated from the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. A caring adult in my life would definitely have to be my mom. She always supported anything I decided to do, especially my aspirations in higher education. She's an educator herself, and so I'm really excited to learn more from her as I go through my education.
I can go next if you guys don't mind. My name is Sarah. I'm from Seattle, Washington, and a caring adult in my life would have to be my brother, my older brother. He really looks out for me, and he's always trying to find new opportunities for me and helps me grow in different ways as far as like academically and non-academically. So he's been just a really big support in my life. Especially now I'm just graduating high school, so he's been really like supportive of my college process and helping me find good things, good opportunities that fit my interests. So, yeah.
I'm just graduating high school too. So my name is Caroline Jansen. I am from Bozeman, Montana, and a caring adult in my life would be a man named Jim L. Thompson, who was my junior year APUS teacher, and he was always there for me in a safe place. I had an abusive relationship my sophomore year, and he taught me how to love to read, and he's been there through it all.
I guess I'm next. All right. Can you guys hear me? Let's see. Sorry. Okay. My name is Jose Galarza. I'm from Bronx, New York. I currently go to Hood College in Frederick, Maryland. And a significant adult in my life will have to be my mother. She came from Puerto Rico at an early age, and when she came to New York, she wanted her children to sort of have an education, and that inspired me a lot to be able to sort of go above and beyond my education, try to take as many opportunities as I can. And she always helps me try to strive as much as I can. And usually she always helps me wake up in the morning when I try to go to class. So.
Sounds great. I think that was everyone. Melinda, can you hear us?
I can.
Great. Do you want to introduce yourself really quickly?
Sure. Hey, I'm Melinda Baskin Hudson. I am the Senior Vice President for and Senior Counsel to the Chair and the CEO. I work a lot with the board and do things that cross the organization priorities. I'm so thrilled to get to meet you. One of the most wonderful things about my job is that I have an opportunity to be inspired and delighted by a generation or two behind me. So thank you for being on this call tonight, and thank you for letting me be a part of it.
Great. So what we want to do now is kind of open it up to be a general discussion amongst all of you surrounding the two articles that were sent out to you prior to our chat in that email. So whoever would like to can take the lead and pick an article to start with, and really we're open to discussing any things that stood out to you, that you agree with, things you disagree with, and feed off of each other's comments to build a conversation. So I will turn it over to whoever would like to take the lead and designate which article we're starting with.
So I thought it would be a great idea to discuss the articles that talked about Fareed Zakaria in his book, which is In Defense of the Liberal Arts, because of the fact that it fits our age group more prevalently, and because we are peers with people who are in the liberal arts or who are wanting to go into liberal arts currently. I actually do agree with the statements that he made, because I do find that liberal arts is essential for us to be well-rounded individuals. I mean, even if you look at people in the STEM fields, like scientists, engineers, mathematicians, you'll notice that they have to publish papers, they have to write grants for their research, they have to give presentations with PowerPoints, and defend a thesis for their PhD or their master's. And so I do find it essential to learn these reading, writing, and speaking skills that we can get from a liberal arts education, rather than leaving these important things out, because everyone requires it. And honestly, I don't think you can be successful in any career without having a good backbone in your reading skills and your writing skills, and in being able to have an effective way to say what's on your mind. And so that's kind of what I got from that. And more importantly, is having conversations with other students. It's how we really learn. It's different if a professor is standing in front of your class and telling you what you should know, and sitting in a discussion with your classmates and discussing viewpoints and developing your own thoughts about what's right or wrong, and arguing it based on that, because our peers are who we're going to work with in the future, rather than maybe our professors, and we have to see how we get along with those that are around our own age group. So I found that very interesting.
I definitely would have to agree. That's actually the article that resonated with myself the most as well, coming just right out of a liberal arts degree. And I also work with students who are going into the STEM field. I see kind of both sides of it, and I think that having some sort of experience in the liberal arts field, taking a sociology class or a communications class or a political science class can really give you the knowledge to work in different areas of the professional world, no matter what you're interested in going into. A lot of scientists and researchers in the science field oftentimes have to go in front of political agencies or in front of the public and discuss their findings and promote what they're trying to do. And I think communications and understanding how society is working today is an important tool in any sort of professional field.
Yeah, I definitely agree with what both of you guys said. What really resonated with me personally was the idea that doing a lot of writing and a lot of critical thinking will help you organize your thoughts, and that that's a really important skill, like you guys said, just kind of piggybacking those thoughts and presenting and giving presentations in both STEM fields and non-STEM fields. And I think this is just, for me, it's really important to me, just for my personal beliefs. And I think that having seminars and just having discussions among just peers and like having it being facilitated by professors is a really good way for students to grow and like take different initiatives to kind of lead and listen and kind of take different roles in those shift roles. And I really think that liberal arts education's also kind of, in the article, kind of touched on this too, sort of takes different modes of thinking and different ways to critically think as far as different like analytical skills and things like that. So I think that's really important. Just for me, which is I'm choosing to go into a liberal arts school, so I'm going to be attending Colgate University this fall, and I think those kind of values really resonates with me, and I like this article a lot. So
something that's been really good for my life was performance-based education, which I think would tie in really well with preparing people for liberal arts education, with allowing people to develop at their own rate and pick a means to develop that love of learning, a work ethic. It's definitely what turned my entire education. I've also heard of this organization called STEAM, not STEM, and if it's the A in the arts, which I think is something that's really important, and having different departments in a university working together, bridging those gaps. And you can also tell the author's liberal arts history because he develops a really good, strong concession in the article. So I think liberal arts are incredibly important.
I also want to just tag along with what you guys are saying in terms of like the notion of diversifying yourself in terms when coming into liberal arts education. There was one example where it was talking about like a history student, if you're going to like a history major, and using like big data and using sort of like technology as part of like history and trying to use and like identify different things. So I thought it was like important to sort of see the notion of the fact that like we're sort of like going into sort of like a new era of technology, and lots sorts of different things are happening. So sort of like engaging in how education is sort of prepping us up for that, especially liberal arts education, is important. And also, I guess maybe like one thing I feel like they didn't really add in terms of the article, in terms of liberal arts studying and speaking and writing, that I thought was like sort of like being a part of like club activities, which sort of gives you the ability to do sort of like that speaking and sort of that different learning. Sort of personally, I was a part of like the Black Student Union during my freshman and sophomore year, and that sort of helped me a lot, being able to sort of understand how to sort of learn differently, or sort of how to speak, sort of how to learn these different skills that may or may not appear in the classroom as we see. But yeah, I really
I absolutely
yeah.
Sorry, Jose.
Fine,
I just wanted to say I absolutely agree with Jose. I think that club activities, even if you are in a STEM field and not necessarily a liberal arts field or whichever field, can be a direct correlation to what you are learning in the classroom, but in a sense where you can interact with the world and the world around you and better your community. And I think I agree that that's something that is a factor in liberal arts education or any type of education at the higher education level and in high school.
Smart. Great. So
Yeah, definitely joining. Oh,
no, go ahead, Evelyn.
okay.
Oh no, Zakaria. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I was saying definitely being part of a student organization is a great way to meet individuals who are having the same passions as you, and be able to learn from those the peers around you. And I also think it's important to do experience learning, which was mentioned in the article, through internships, co-ops, and opportunities that allow you to be hands on deck and be a part of an organization and see what they do, so that you have the experience that you can't get from reading books or that a professor can tell you. So I definitely agreed with the article when they mentioned this as a solution. And this is different because this wasn't mentioned in the article, but but I've also noticed that in the political realm of the United States, we see political leaders encouraging STEM education. You know, everyone has leaders in their states, within their schools, that encourage students to pursue STEM, and I think it's essential for leaders in our communities to also encourage students to pursue degrees and studies in the liberal arts fields as well, because I am a STEM major, and and I think it's great because I love biology, and it's one of my passions, after education reform. But I also feel like there needs to be leaders out there that tell our students that yes, you do need to be able to speak eloquently, you do need to be able to write your thoughts, because even in the STEM field, as a biology student, I have biology seminar and I have research, and I have to be able to write my thoughts clearly so people can understand them. And so I think leaders, and community activists, and even our president should encourage the liberal arts, because they are liberal arts. They are in fact the works of a liberal arts degree, most of them at least.
Just to piggyback off of that, I think that there is so much social justice activism currently going on in our country, and combining that activism and the attitudes and the emotions going on in our country that are so strong with academia could be such a strong and powerful tool for our country and around the world. So I equally agree. I think STEM is a great advancement tool for our country, but I think liberal arts can also be as equally as important.
Great. So we want to segue into the second article and discussing your thoughts on that. I know that it's a little bit less relatable, so to speak, because it is discussing a demographic much younger. But as a youth member of the board or of our trustees, you would be representing youth as a whole. And so we'd like to hear your thoughts and opinions on that piece.
Well, I like what you said about representing education as a whole, because I feel like far too often in these kinds of discussions or in litigation, the people who truly matter, their voices are left out, and those are the people that you're educating, the students and the kids. But something that I was thinking about when I was reading this article was I had the opportunity to testify for the Common Core in front of our House legislation and the Senate in Montana, against some people who wanted to repeal it from our state entirely. And something that a mother said was that these students are far too young to think critically and analytically, and it made me really angry. There were a lot of pleas from the stands. But something I found interesting in the article was, yes, these kids do need hours of play, and they do need the fine motor skills, but something I thought was interesting and I wanted to know her views on was what she thought of the Common Core and the ways that it's preparing the youth in our country. So I think that what's important is bridging the gaps of the fine motor skills and what's important in those developmental skills, and not necessarily only giving it to the parents, but having a fine balance between developmental skills and also critical thinking and real-world thinking.
So I have actually volunteered and worked with book clubs in the Little Rock School District community, and I've witnessed students, constantly worrying about standardized testing, because I know this article talked a lot about kindergartners taking these tests, and I actually work with this foundation called Our Community, Our Schools, because recently Little Rock School District, which is famous for Little Rock Central High School, after the integration, back in the 1950s, Little Rock School District actually was labeled as a distressed school district and was taken over by the state recently. And so I have been part of this foundation called Our Community, Our Schools, which is fighting, to get our local board back that runs the school district, because basically the state has taken over and they're enforcing all of these standardized tests even for kindergarten students, and it just doesn't make any sense because of the facts that the article mentioned, like motor skills and sensory skills. Those are essential for students, and it can later cause developmental defects. And that's something else to struggle with when they get older. So anyways, we work with I work with this foundation just as as a volunteer track, because my professor is actually one of the people who started up this foundation, and we work to basically create knowledge about how standardized testing doesn't in fact test someone's ability and knowledge, because a lot of students have anxiety and become stressed and are not able to do as well, and so it doesn't actually say what their knowledge is, and everyone excels in different areas, and to basically say like, hey, this is a platform for what you should know and what you should do well in is kind of biased, because every student is different, and this again goes in and ties in with the liberal arts thing. Getting a well-rounded education, being well-rounded in everything is essential, because if you tell kindergartner students that this is what you need to know, this is exactly what your layout should be, it kind of kindergarten students being excited, their minds being excited and wanting to learn for themselves. So I definitely did agree with this article, and I agreed with Caroline as well that there does need to be like a balance between learn and play, because now I'm 20 and I never knew how important that play was when I was in kindergarten. I just thought it was let the sugar out and let the hyperness out and let the kids come back in and be settled down and be calm. So but now I know these things are very essential. So
what was Natasha saying about, oh sorry,
go ahead.
Okay. What she was saying about standardized testing, that's another place where I feel that performance-based learning is performance and standards-based learning is a good way to bridge those gaps, because you see relevance, you can work at the standards at your own pace, and oh gosh, it's great for that. Never mind, you take it.
Well, coming from a state that has constantly proven to be one of the worst states in terms of education, I often see the clash between standardized testing, core curriculum, the teachers and the students. And oftentimes the standardized testing, I definitely agree with what has been said here. It doesn't accurately depict some of the learning that goes on because of how different each student can learn. And then on top of it, you keep increasing the core curriculum to even higher standards every year, which I think is great. Preparing students early for possibly achieving higher education or AP classes in high school is so needed. But at the same time, advancing this core curriculum places such a burden on teachers to surpass those standardized test scores that in the end I really think students suffer because they're not getting the fulfillment, enrichment, education that they really need to succeed.
I definitely agree with what you all said, but a different kind of perspective that I was thinking about while you guys were talking was I understand the importance of trying to cater to different learning skills and ways different students learn, and I think that's really important. But I was just thinking about ways that in the future standardized testing could be shifted in a way to kind of enforce and monitor how students are progressing in school, as well as sort of making sure that all the different learning types are kind of accommodated for. And I think that's something that we could be working on as youth, kind of as we go into education policy and different sort of ways to kind of reform education. I understand it's kind of like a devil's advocate sort of perspective, in that like standardized testing may not be the best way, but it is a way to kind of see how well students are progressing, and I think that us as youth is something that we understand, and so as we get older and as we become more involved with the government, it's something that we can start to fix and kind of brainstorm different ways in that we can, kind of improve education policy and stuff. So that was just something I was thinking about while you were talking.
I agree with what you're saying, and I think there should be a solution to the standardized testing problem, because in fact we do need to see a resolution, because we can't have students passing on to the next grade and be 2 grades behind and not doing well in their classes. But a lot of times what I have seen is that teachers teach to the test, so it's not allowing again the students to have this excitement to learn and let me see a demonstration, and wow, I want to learn more about physics because of this demonstration I saw. And instead of standardized testing, this might be difficult, but I feel like the best solution for students, teachers, and parents is for students to have their own individual portfolios that teachers have that mark progress for each individual student rather than,
Yeah,
you
that's a great
having
idea.
progress, right, instead of having progress as a classroom or a grade. Each student should have their own portfolio and see how they're progressing individually, and that should be shared with their parents. And I think that would be a well solution because you can't compare every student on the same basis, on the same criteria, because everyone learns differently and everyone's interests are differently as well. So, but I do
Yeah.
definitely agree with you that as youth we need to find a solution for this pending problem of standardized testing.
Yeah.
That's I remembered what I was going to say now. The thing that performance-based learning does is takes those issues with standards-based or standardized testing and allows students to assess on the levels that they can in different ways to demonstrate proficiency. I had the opportunity to interview one of the teachers that we clashed heads the whole entire time I was in her class. She went back and took a course called Teaching with Love and Logic, and she found that approaching each day and approaching each class period with I'm an expert in my field, what can I do for you, rather than teaching to the test or teaching to the curriculum, working towards those standards and working towards goals with kids with what they need for that day. If they need to be left alone, whatever. She's there for them. And I think the more we see that and the more we assess kids based on the levels that they can and the means that they can. I learned about, I think, the New York Urban Academy. I think that's right. It's in a consortium in New York. And they have completely done away with standardized testing and assess kids based on can you demonstrate proficiency in public speaking, everyday math usage, things of the sort.
Kind of just shifting back to the article, I was just looking through it again, and I was noticing that when the author was speaking about getting rid of recess and getting rid of snack time, it would kind of result in students, being more fidgety, being, their attentions kind of being shifted in another direction. And I was thinking about kind of how important that is in that, and I kind of saw sort of a similarity between the two articles that we read, in that both were trying to foster like intellectual development and kind of help students grow and develop in different ways. And I thought that was something really important that both the articles touched on, which is finding different ways to help students grow in kind of non-traditional settings. So I just thought that was kind of
right, because when we look back to being in kindergarten and even preschool and first grade, going outside and playing in the dirt and making sandcastles and things of that sort just actually challenged our creativity and allowed us to put pieces together, just like playing Legos. People don't know it's not just a game, it's actually there's research behind it, and it actually does develop your mind to be stronger. So having recess and playtime for the students is essential, not only to develop these skills and test their creativity, but also to give time to play with peers around them, so they become and grow to be well-rounded individuals who can get along with their peers as they're becoming older.
I just wanted to tag along what you guys are saying with how, like, with sort of both of the articles, how it's sort of this evolution of education and how sort of education is sort of shifting around a little bit because of new things that are being added in. And sort of people are sort of just throwing these ideas out of like how to sort of have these students learn more at a more efficient pace. And one thing that actually caught that I sort of took out of this article was actually the parent in the article, and it sort of went back to sort of what I was thinking about how parent involvement is very important in especially in the younger ages of the student, because the parents sort of like try to understand like what the teachers are doing, like what everything is going on, and I feel like because that parent involvement is very crucial to sort of having the students being able to progress and sort of being able to sort of give them those necessities that they need. I thought that was sort of like sort of something that I caught out of there.
Kind of playing devil's advocate to what I mentioned earlier, but also going along with what Jose said on the previous article and right now, I think that outside of school learning and social learning is crucial. And if we push towards more education, more core curriculum in these K through third or K through fifth schools, I think we need to push more for social involvement outside of the classroom. I didn't really get involved with student organizations until middle school. Why don't we have student organizations being utilized in these K through 12 or K through 6 schools? I think if that we are going to eliminate recess and eliminate those social activities, there needs to be a supplement to it somewhere, because social learning is very important in the future, as we all probably know.
I think just tagging along with what you're saying, Emily, is one thing we can probably do is sort of use these things like different things, like maybe sort of the things like music, art, gym, like sort of implementing different things, different programs into the schools. I know there was this one nonprofit organization, I don't know the name, but they focused sort of like on poetry and soccer, and I thought it was really important sort of to have like different programs or organizations being a part of like school system, because it gives them that opportunity to sort of give back to schools, and also for students to learn different things and sort of build on that social etiquette and social responsibility.
I think that's an awesome idea too. That's what I was thinking a little bit earlier when everyone was talking, is to combine these social activities with education. If we are trying to build our education so much more than it is, why can't there be some sort of educational component with our extracurriculars or with recess? Still giving those kids an outlet to their social quirks, and still giving them an outlet to release that sugar or what so it be, but also having that educational component, like that soccer and poetry, that's an incredible idea, and I love it.
And going back to what Caroline was saying about these social justice movements that are going on today, if our students at a younger age were able to understand their social surroundings, that would help with what's going on in, contemporary news and contemporary media. So another reason as to why social education or social time essentially is a great thing for students to have, even as early as kindergarten.
Yeah, those are the things I remembered from grade school the most, was when we would talk about political parties, and we were always told why not to discuss it, and we should open up those conversations and have really utilize the kinesthetic parts of learning. So even if we do have to do away with recess and things of the sort, there is still that way to get the creativity in the work and enrich minds in that way.
So I'm going to go ahead and stop our conversation, because I know while we want to keep going, I did promise it would be 20 to 25 minutes, and I think we've gone way over that. But I want to be conscious of our time.
Evelyn, you're breaking up a little bit.
Uh-oh. Is it better?
Whoa.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a little better. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so once again, I'd like to thank you for your time and for allowing us to listen in on your conversation, really, because we didn't say much.
And that was great.
Yeah, and we really appreciate all of your thoughts. As part of the board and trustees, you are, engaging conversations with adults and peers in a room, and so we really want to know, how you're able to tackle these issues, and you all did a really great job of that tonight. In terms of next steps, we will be following up with you in the next month or so. So please keep your eye out on your email to see if there's any follow-up information. If we need anything from you, we'll be sure to reach out. Yeah, just keep in touch, and we'll keep in touch as well, and you'll hear back from us soon. And thanks for everyone for participating tonight. If you have any questions, feel free to email myself or Madeline.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you all.
Madeline, I'm going to look at your calendar, and we'll schedule some time tomorrow to chat.
Great. Sounds great.
Belinda, thanks for joining us.
Loved every minute.
Thank you so much.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Have a
Bye-bye.
great night, guys.
Bye.
Bye.